Samurais consider this to be like the Holy Grail.
I bought this thing online today.
How about we begin, huh?
They say, the longer the blade, the stronger it is, the shorter, the riskier. Facing the Japanese Yakuza boss, Shinichiro Oda, armed with a katana, the female assassin Boksoon shockingly chose a fire axe. The outcome? Predictable.
Proud of your work today. There are only 3 people who can last this long against Oda Shinichiro.
Shinichiro Oda's words weren't just bravado. No matter how many strategies Boksoon imagined in her head, every scenario ended with her being cut down by his blade. It sent a chill down her spine. She had no choice but to ask for a weapon change. In an effort to show off his warrior's pride, the arrogant Shinichiro Oda agreed without hesitation. While waiting for the new weapon, he couldn't resist flaunting a bit.
And only after this rigorous conditioning.
Then, out of nowhere, a gunshot rang out, leaving Shinichiro Oda completely dumbfounded.
The supermarket's about to close.
Boksoon is a professional assassin, employed by MK, South Korea's top hitman agency. The head of the company? Cha Min-kyu, not only her boss but also the one who introduced her to this dark world. 25 years ago, when Min-kyu was still a rookie, he was assigned to kill a local cop for a client. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, the cop's daughter unexpectedly returned home early from skipping school. That girl was none other than a young Boksoon, but unlike most girls, Boksoon stayed unnervingly calm even with a gun pressed to her head. Min-kyu, though reluctant to kill a minor, wasn't about to leave any witnesses. Just as he finished speaking, Boksoon suddenly kicked the chair out from under her. Her fearless, decisive action shocked Min-kyu, sending a chill down his spine. Boksoon's bold move wasn't just out of survival. Her father, the cop, was secretly a monster who had long abused and tormented her at home. From that day on, Boksoon dropped out of school and followed Min-kyu into the assassin world. After more than 20 years of hard work, Cha Min-kyu gradually became a leading figure in the assassin world. Not only did he found the powerful NK company, but he also united Seoul's other hitman agencies to form a secret underground organization called the Shadow Alliance. To keep things under control, he established 3 ironclad rules. No killing minors, all assassins must work under centralized management, no freelance jobs allowed. Every task assigned by the organization must be completed without question. Anyone who dared break these rules would be hunted down by the entire alliance. He also ranked assassins from A to D, with higher-ranked assassins getting better jobs and more lucrative pay. As one of the few A-level assassins in MK, Boksoon earned a whopping $2 million for taking out Oda, much to the envy of her peers. But where there's envy, jealousy is never far behind. Hee-sung, a fellow assassin, complained about the company's unfair ranking system. He believed he had what it took to be an A-level killer, yet the company only rated him as C-level. Hearing this, Boksoon gave a dismissive smirk, sarcastically telling Hee-sung, "Maybe when you're a little less whiny." With that, she turned and walked away. Despite their exchange, Boksoon and Hee-sung didn't have any real animosity. In fact, they were quite close, often sneaking around for secret rendezvous. Yet every time afterward, Boksoon would throw him 100,000 won, like paying for a service. She firmly believed that in relationships between people, nothing was unbreakable except money and self-interest. However, beneath Boksoon's tough exterior lay one major weakness: her teenage daughter, Jae-young. As a single mother, Boksoon provided Jae-young with a comfortable life, but their relationship was distant and cold. They rarely talked, living more like strangers than family. One day, Boksoon was called to the school, where a furious parent was screaming at her in the principal's office. It turned out that Jae-young had stabbed a boy in the neck with scissors, nearly killing him. Thankfully, since Boksoon had donated a hefty sum to the school, they decided not to expel Jae-young. But despite the gravity of the situation, Jae-young showed no sign of remorse, acting as if nothing had happened. This left Boksoon at a loss. She slowly realized that money alone wasn't enough to solve her parenting problems. Wanting to spend more time with Jae-young, Boksoon started thinking about quitting the assassin world for good. The next day, she went to the company to discuss terminating her contract with Cha Min-kyu. But as fate would have it, she bumped into Cha Min-hee at the elevator. Cha Min-hee, Cha Min-kyu's cousin, always pretended to be friendly with Boksoon, calling her sister, but deep down, she was filled with resentment. Min-hee had long been in love with Cha Min-kyu, but all his attention seemed to be on Boksoon. fueling Min-hee's jealousy. She could never understand how someone as beautiful and elegant as herself could lose to a plain widow like Boksoon. Eager to put Boksoon in her place, she dragged her to participate in the graduation exam for the new recruits under the guise of work guidance. The moment Boksoon stepped in, the room erupted in cheers. The recruits were starstruck, treating her like a celebrity. One trainee in particular, Young-ji, idolized Boksoon and was the most promising student in the group. Under Cha Min-hee's instigation, Boksoon faced off in a one-on-one duel with Young-ji. To show her seniority and grace, Boksoon chose to use only a marker as her weapon. At first, she didn't take Young-ji seriously, effortlessly dodging her attacks with simple movements, but Young-ji quickly proved why she was the top trainee. Seizing an opportunity to use a suspended wooden sword as a feint, then swiftly lunging at Boksoon's abdomen, the sharpness of Young-ji's technique took Boksoon by surprise. Seeing Cha Min-hee's smug grin from the sidelines, Boksoon decided it was time to get serious. She deftly dodged Young-ji's next strike and, with a flick of her wrist, launched the pen cap directly at Young-ji's forehead. When Young-ji came to her senses, a red line of death was already drawn across her neck. The room burst into applause. In that moment, Young-ji finally understood the immense gap between herself and her idol. Boksoon then headed to Cha Min-kyu's office. When she informed him about her plans for early retirement, Cha Min-kyu was clearly reluctant. He said he would consider her request, but there were two urgent missions that needed to be completed first. One involved assassinating a mafia boss in Russia, while the other was a domestic assignment. Without hesitation, Boksoon chose the domestic mission, knowing it would allow her to still care for her daughter. As part of her duty as a veteran assassin, she was expected to mentor newcomers. So, under Cha Min-kyu's arrangement, Young-ji was assigned to complete the mission alongside Boksoon. Young-ji, excited for her first mission with her idol, meticulously prepared. Their job was to stage the scene to look like a suicide, as per the client's request. Young-ji even drafted a suicide note in the target's handwriting, mimicking his style. The mission itself wasn't complicated. The target was a young man who had just turned 18. They used a type of anesthetic gas to knock him out, then prepared to cut his wrists. Just as Young-ji was about to make the cut, Boksoon stopped her.
There would be hesitation wounds, because he would stop and start while he was cutting.
Wanting to teach her protege properly, Boksoon patiently showed her how to carry out the task step by step. But just as the blade was about to fall, Boksoon suddenly felt a strange sense of familiarity with the boy. A glance at a family photo on the desk triggered her memory. It reminded her of a recent news story. The boy's father was a candidate for prime minister, and he had pulled strings to get his son into Seoul National University. When the scandal broke, it seriously hurt his campaign. In a desperate attempt to salvage his career, the father had chosen to sacrifice his son, framing his death as a suicide to take the fall for all the corruption. The suicide note Young-ji had written, it was actually a confession, clearing the father's name. At that moment, Boksoon's phone rang. It was her daughter, Jae-young, asking when she'd be home. She wanted to apologize in person for what had happened at school. Hearing this, Boksoon felt a wave of warmth and relief. As a mother herself, she couldn't bear the thought of the boy learning the truth, knowing how heartbroken he'd be. So, she decided to abandon the mission, but this went against the iron rules set by Cha Min-kyu. With no other option, Boksoon lied, claiming that the concentration of the sleeping gas had been too low, and the boy had woken up during the assassination attempt, causing the mission to fail. At that moment, Cha Min-kyu was in Russia, carrying out a hit on the mafia. He instructed Boksoon to hand the phone to Young-ji so he could get a detailed report on what happened during their mission. Initially, Boksoon had told Young-ji to give an honest account of the failure, but to her surprise, Young-ji took all the blame, saying the mission failed because she hadn't properly adjusted the concentration of the anesthetic gas. Cha Min-kyu wasn't fooled by this excuse. He suspected that Boksoon had let the target go out of compassion. However, rather than push the issue, Cha Min-kyu saw an opportunity. He made Boksoon an offer. If she agreed to sign a new 10-year contract with the company, they would overlook the mission failure and ensure no other assassins were sent to finish the job. Left with no other choice, Boksoon reluctantly agreed. When Cha Min-hee heard the news, she was furious. In her mind, Boksoon had broken the ironclad rules of the assassin world and should have been punished. Yet Cha Min-kyu was willing to break protocol just to keep Boksoon around. This deepened the resentment Cha Min-hee had been harboring for years. Meanwhile, back at home, Boksoon's daughter, Jae-young, finally opened up about why she had stabbed her classmate. It turns out that Jae-young has fallen for a girl in her class, and the two have been secretly dating. But while they were sharing a kiss in secret, a boy had accidentally caught them on camera. He then blackmailed them, demanding a large sum of money, threatening to post the pictures online if they didn't comply. In a desperate attempt to grab the boy's phone, Jae-young ended up stabbing him with scissors, but what hurt her even more was that after the incident, the girl she liked completely cut ties with her. The girl said she's not actually attracted to women and that she's only spending time with Ing for fun. This betrayal crushed Jae-young, plunging her into a deep sense of despair and helplessness. For the first time in her life, she experienced the pain of being deceived. After hearing Jae-young's story, Boksoon was at a loss. In a conservative society like South Korea, no parent is truly prepared to accept that their child might be gay. Just then, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. To Boksoon's surprise, standing at the door was none other than Yeon-ji. Furious that she couldn't take down Boksoon, Cha Min-hee resorted to blaming the failed mission on Yeon-ji and had her fired from the company. To comfort her protege, Boksoon took Yeon-ji to her favorite restaurant. She promised that she would come clean to Cha Min-kyu and make sure Yeon-ji was reinstated. Just then, Hee-sung and a few fellow assassins entered the restaurant. Boksoon learned that Hee-sung had been promoted from C-level to A-level overnight. Thanks to a successful mission, she was about to congratulate him, but when she heard who his target was, her expression darkened instantly. Hee-sung's target had been none other than the Prime Minister candidate's son, the same boy Boksoon had spared. It didn't take long for Boksoon to realize that this was all Cha Min-hee's doing, pulling strings behind the scenes. Confronted by Boksoon, Hee-sung felt a pang of guilt but didn't offer much of an explanation. At that moment, Cha Min-hee called Hee-sung. Learning about the situation, she devised a sinister plan. She instructed Hee-sung to put the phone on speaker and make an announcement to everyone present. Cha Min-hee's voice echoed through the room. If you all kill Boksoon right now, not only will you each be promoted to A-level and join Anpai Company, but you'll also be rewarded with 2 million won each. The assassins in the room were instantly tempted by the offer, their hands unconsciously drifting toward their weapons. Sensing the danger, Boksoon swiftly cut off the call and ordered everyone to stop their subtle movements, but it was too late.
Aren't you all ashamed? The last time here, you said the MK.
The restaurant owner was the first to make a move, and the others followed, launching a full-scale attack on Boksoon. Seeing her former comrades turn on her for greed, Boksoon hesitated no longer. She grabbed whatever tools were nearby and began her counterattack. In the chaotic brawl, the restaurant owner was fatally struck by his own flying knife. Thanks to his clumsy teammate, Curly Hair met a similar fate, charging at Boksoon only to be stabbed through the throat. Despite taking out 2 of them, the fight didn't get any easier. Hee-sung and the remaining assassins started coordinating their attacks, making it hard for Boksoon to keep up. As a heavy punch from Bearded Man closed in, it seemed Boksoon wouldn't be able to dodge in time. Luckily, Yeon-ji intervened at the last second, giving Boksoon a much-needed breather. With their combined efforts, the tide quickly turned. The remaining assassins were swiftly taken down, defeated and powerless. Hee-sung made a desperate attempt to play on Boksoon's emotions. Crying, he apologized profusely, but it was too late for that. In the end, Hee-sung met his fate, dying by Boksoon's blade. The situation quickly reached Cha Min-kyu, and in a fit of rage, he confronted Boksoon late at night, demanding to know why she had killed her fellow assassins. In the assassin world, killing your own is a cardinal sin. Not only would it bring the wrath of the entire alliance, but it would also damage the company's reputation. At the critical moment, Yeon-ji burst in, revealing the truth. Upon hearing that it was Cha Min-hee who had instigated everything, Cha Min-kyu found himself in a difficult position, torn between the woman he loved and his cousin by blood. Not wanting to lose either of them, he allowed Boksoon to leave for the moment. When Boksoon returned home late that night, she found her daughter, Jae-young, waiting for her in the living room. The two sat together on the couch, talking through the night. Boksoon told Jae-young, "There is no one in this world who loves you more than your mom. No matter what you've done or what you will do in the future, I'll always be your strongest support." From that moment on, the tension between mother and daughter finally began to ease, and their relationship grew stronger. The next day, Boksoon went to the company and agreed to the terms of renewing her contract. She also said she would let go of Cha Min-hee's previous actions. On one condition, Yeon-ji's status as an assassin must be restored. Cha Min-hee let out a laugh, unable to comprehend the point of restoring the status of someone who was already dead. The night before, after Boksoon had left, Cha Min-kyu had killed Yeon-ji himself.
No, because I can do a good job, sir. No, I'm a great liar. Just please wait, because I promise that I'm...
He did it to protect both Boksoon and Cha Min-hee, hoping to shield them from the consequences. In front of all the top bosses of the alliance, Cha Min-kyu had blamed the entire restaurant incident on Yang Ji. But the bosses weren't fools. How could a mere trainee kill so many seasoned assassins by herself? One of the bosses, Scarface, who had long had a contentious relationship with Cha Min-kyu, stood up and demanded an explanation. He insisted that since Cha Min-kyu had created the rules, he should set an example by handing over the real rule breaker. He then placed a short knife in front of Cha Min-kyu, sending a silent but clear message.
Cannot be a rule breaker. And that's because I am the rule. First rule, you are never to kill anyone underage. Second, you will only take shows from your company. Third, you must attempt shows sanctioned by your company. And fourth, you don't ever draw weapons during a sacred meeting.
The other bosses were stunned into silence. They knew that pushing the issue further was pointless, and one by one, they reluctantly left the room. But Cha Min-kyu never imagined that the woman he had risked everything to protect would soon be covered in blood. Right there in the company, after learning that Yang Ji had been killed, Boksoon wasted no time. In a flash, she used the pen meant for signing her contract to stab and kill Cha Min-hee without hesitation. Before leaving, she told the bodyguard downstairs, "Tonight, I'll be back for Cha Min-kyu." From that moment, Boksoon and Cha Min-kyu were on opposite sides. When she got home, Boksoon made a lavish dinner for Jae-yeon. Watching her daughter's happy face filled her with a whirlwind of emotions. She didn't know how much longer she'd be able to stay by her side. That night, Boksoon arrived at the company as promised. Cha Min-kyu had been waiting for her, and they sat across from each other on the couch. Outwardly, Boksoon appeared calm, but inside, she was filled with anxiety. She knew that against Cha Min-kyu, the man who had mentored her into the assassin world, victory was far from guaranteed. As they chatted, she ran countless battle scenarios through her mind, trying to pinpoint a weakness, but no matter how she approached it, every scenario ended the same: her death, just in different ways. This only proved how terrifyingly powerful Cha Min-kyu was. However, the stronger someone is, the more bizarre their weaknesses tend to be. Cha Min-kyu's hesitation to attack gave Boksoon an idea. His greatest weakness was his obsessive feelings for her. So, she played the emotional card, asking, "When did you first start liking me?" Her question pulled Cha Min-kyu back 25 years, to a time when he had been captivated by Boksoon's radiant, innocent smile. It was that smile that had made him fall hopelessly in love. While Cha Min-kyu was lost in his memories, Boksoon struck. He never had a chance to react. In one swift motion, Cha Min-kyu fell, helpless, beneath Boksoon's blade. As Cha Min-kyu lay dying, he tightly grasped Boksoon's hand. What seemed like a final, unrequited farewell quickly took a dark turn. Cha Min-kyu had chosen another way to destroy Boksoon. Before their fight, he had sent someone to Boksoon's house, delivering a computer to her daughter, Jae-yeon. On that computer was a video of the entire scene of Boksoon killing Cha Min-kyu. He wanted Jae-yeon to see the truth about who her mother really was. This realization shattered Boksoon. Overcome with panic, she drove frantically back home. Bursting into the house, she rushed to Jae-yeon's room. When she saw her daughter peacefully sleeping, she finally exhaled in relief. But just as she was about to quietly close the door and leave, Jae-yeon called out to her. She told her mother to come home earlier from now on. No matter what Boksoon had done or would do in the future, Jae-yeon promised she would always unconditionally support her. At that moment, Boksoon realized that Jae-yeon was far stronger than she had ever imagined. A week later, Boksoon decided to leave South Korea, taking Jae-yeon with her. Before their departure, Jae-yeon returned to her school to say goodbye to the girl she had once loved. As the girl extended her hand, Jae-yeon pulled her into a tight embrace.
Or just murder you out back.
It seems that the blood running through Jae-yeon's veins had already awakened, signaling the birth of a new assassin era. And with that, the movie ends. See you next time.